At Linda's funeral, I stood alone in the rain. My name is Jack. I'm 67, and I watched as they lowered her casket into the frozen earth at Mountain View Cemetery in Vancouver. The chapel had been completely empty. It was just me, a young minister who never met Linda, and 43 years of shared memories packed away in a plain pine box. I pulled out my phone out of habit. No missed calls, no texts. I opened Instagram. There was my daughter, Sophia, 38, posing in front of a Christmas tree at some trendy hotel in Whistler, wearing a designer ski jacket and holding a glass of champagne. The post was made 4 hours ago. The caption said, "Living my best life. Self-care isn't selfish." I swiped. There was my son Ethan, 42, shaking hands with a developer at a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Toronto. That confident smile, the one I used to take so much pride in, posted 6 hours ago. They were picking photo ops and business events over their mother's farewell. They saw me as just a washed-up firefighter, a relic from another time, someone to be handled and forgotten. They had no idea what was coming. The next morning, when the doorbell rang at 9 o'clock, I was already sitting in the kitchen. I hadn't slept since 4. The house felt too empty without her. I opened the door. There they were, Ethan and Sophia, not in black. Ethan was dressed in a charcoal suit, the kind you wear when you're closing a deal, not when you're supposed to be mourning your mother. Sophia was in cream-colored athleisure, probably Lululemon, her hair in a high ponytail. She looked like she'd just finished a yoga class. They were holding Tim Hortons cups and a bag of bagels. "Morning, Dad," Ethan said, breezing past me like he owned the place, his cologne filling the hallway. Too much cologne. "We brought breakfast," Sophia said, setting a large coffee down in front of my usual spot at the kitchen table. Double, just how you like it. That small gesture, so calculated, so empty, it sat in my stomach like a stone. I sat down. This was supposed to be Linda's kitchen. It should have smelled like her cinnamon rolls, like her laughter. Now it just smelled like lies. Ethan took the seat across from me and cleared his throat. "Listen, Dad, about yesterday, about the funeral, I'm really sorry." I just stared at him. I didn't know what to say. He was stuck with the closing on the Yonge Street development. 3 years of hard work. $40 million. He had to be there. You get it, right? He was the principal developer. He couldn't just walk away. He looked at me with Linda's green eyes, but the warmth was gone. The company, the one I had encouraged him to start, the one Linda and I had co-signed the first loan for, believing he would build something good. "Mom would have understood," he added, twisting the knife. She was always practical about business. Sophia, who had been scrolling on her phone, finally looked up. "And my event, Dad, it was huge. A brand partnership with a major wellness company. I had a contract," she added. "I couldn't cancel. They would have sued me. Brand partnership." The words hung there, heavy. I looked at my daughter. At 38, she was nothing more than a curated image of filters and sponsored posts. I remembered the 6-year-old girl who cried for days when our golden retriever passed away. She refused to go to school because she wanted to keep the dog's collar under her pillow. "Where did that girl go?" "It's complicated," Sophia said, her voice flat. "You wouldn't get it. It's my work." I let the silence stretch on. "Anyway," she said, taking another sip of her coffee, "I'm devastated. It all happened so fast." So fast. Linda had fought heart disease for 9 long months. 9 months of hospital visits, medication changes, and slowly losing her strength. 9 months during which I held her hand every single day. 9 months where Ethan was too caught up in his developments, and Sophia had a sponsor retreat that she just couldn't skip. We sent flowers. Ethan interrupted. A huge arrangement. Very tasteful. I remembered those flowers. They arrived at the funeral home with a card that read, "From Ethan and Sophia Miller." They hadn't even bothered to write it themselves. It was printed. "Dad, we need to talk," Ethan said, his fake sympathy vanishing. "We need to be practical." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean," he said, glancing at Sophia quickly, "we need to settle the estate. For everyone's good." He stood, walked over to the door where his leather briefcase sat, and brought it back to the table. The sharp snap of the locks broke the silence in the kitchen. He pulled out a thick folder and slid it across to me. "What's this?" I asked. "Mom's will," he said, his tone shifting to a serious one. "Well, the lack of one. She died intestate, Dad. No will, which means under BC law the estate gets split. You get the preferential share, but the rest is divided among the children," he continued. My blood ran cold. "The house?" Sophia chimed in, right on cue. "This house is worth $1.8 million, Dad. Maybe more with the market right now. That's a lot of equity just sitting here." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. And honestly, you don't need this big place anymore. It's too much for you to keep up with. The stairs, the yard. You're 67. You should be in a condo. Something easier." He opened the folder. There were real estate listings clipped inside. 1-bedroom condos in New Westminster. Small places. Cheap places. "We've already talked to a realtor," Ethan went on. "She can list it next week. We could probably close by February. You walk away with your share, buy something smaller, and still have money left over." "And what about your shares?" I asked quietly. Ethan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Well, obviously, Sophia and I would split the remainder. After your preferential share, of course. It's only fair." "Fair," I repeated. "Dad, please," Sophia said, placing her perfectly manicured hand on mine. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're all grieving, but we need to be smart. The market is hot right now. If we wait, we might lose value." She didn't even try to fake tears. "This house," I said slowly, "is where we raised you. This is where your mother baked birthday cakes, where we had Christmas mornings, where she taught you both how to ride bikes in the driveway." "Exactly," Ethan said. "It's full of memories. But, Dad, they're just memories." "You can't live in memories. You need to live in reality. And reality is that this is a $2.3 million asset that's being wasted. $2.3 million. He'd already had it appraised. "I need time," I said. Ethan's patience snapped. He wasn't a 42-year-old developer anymore. He was a spoiled child, throwing a tantrum because he wasn't getting his way. "You don't need time. This isn't complicated. Sign the listing agreement. Let us handle this." "You're grieving," he said. "You're not thinking clearly." I stood up. Every one of my 67 years made my knees ache. But there was a sharp, cold anger brewing inside me, something I hadn't felt since my last fire call. "I want you to leave," I said firmly. "Dad, don't be ridiculous." Ethan snapped, leaning in. "This house is half ours. You can't just keep it. We have rights." "Get out of my house," I said, cutting him off. "You will regret this," Sophia hissed, her voice trembling with fury. "We're only trying to help you." I walked over to the door and opened it wide. The freezing January air rushed in. Without another word, they left. But before Ethan even reached his car, I could hear him on the phone. He was already calling his lawyer. I closed the door and let the silence settle around me. And then I remembered the safety deposit box key. Linda had handed it to me 2 weeks before she passed, her hands shaking so much I thought she might drop it. She had pressed it into my palm at the hospital. "When I'm gone," she whispered, "go to the bank, box 317. Don't tell anyone, just you." I hadn't understood then, but now it was all clear. I drove to the Royal Bank on Main Street, the same place we'd used for 40 years. I showed them Linda's death certificate and the key. The manager, Rebecca, who had known Linda, took me to the vault. She stepped aside to give me some privacy. Inside box 317 was a brown envelope and a USB drive. The envelope had my name on it, written in Linda's handwriting. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a letter, a few pages, and another document. The title made my heart stop. Transfer of land title, registered owner, Jack James Morrison. It was dated 3 months ago. Linda had transferred the house into my name only, before her illness took its toll, before she lost all her strength. But it was the letter that truly broke me. "My dearest Jack," it began, If you're reading this, then I'm gone and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for the secrets I had to keep from you. I'm sorry that our children have become who they are. Most of all, I'm sorry you're alone now, but you're not without defense. I made sure of that. I know you're confused. I know Ethan and Sophia came to you and demanded the house. I knew they would. They've been demanding from us for years, and I was too weak to refuse. Ethan borrowed $180,000 from us. Remember? 5 years ago, for an investment opportunity. He promised to pay it back in 6 months. He never did. Every time I asked, he blamed the market. The deal fell apart. Next quarter, he always said. Sophia took $95,000 for her lifestyle brand. That failed in 8 months, and she never mentioned it again. She just moved on to the next thing, the next sponsor, the next filter. I paid, Jack. I paid, and I stayed quiet because I didn't want to hurt you. But my silence made it worse. It taught them that we were just a bank, resources to be used. When the doctor told me I had 6 months, maybe less, I knew what would happen. I knew they'd try to take the house, the place you built the back deck on, the place where we slow danced in the kitchen on our anniversary. So I did what I had to do. I transferred the house into your name alone. I made sure it was bulletproof. Community property rules don't apply because it was my inheritance from my parents. The lawyer confirmed it. It's yours. Only yours. But there's more. You need to see something. Something I recorded. It's on the USB drive. I did it while you were at physiotherapy. I'm sorry, my love. I'm sorry you have to see this. But you need to know the truth. You need to know who they really are. I love you, Jack. I've loved you since I was 22. You are the best man I've ever known. You deserve peace. You deserve to live the rest of your life without vultures circling. So I built you a fortress. Use it. All my love, forever, Linda. I sat there in that small, private room in the bank vault, processing everything she left behind. I could hardly breathe. I connected the USB drive to my phone using the adapter I always carry. Just one file, dated November 9th, 3 weeks before she passed. I tapped play. The video was shaky. Linda had propped up her phone on the nightstand in our bedroom. She sat in her chair, the one we'd moved into the bedroom, when climbing the stairs became too difficult. She looked so small, so frail. Then Ethan came into view. "Mom, we need to talk," he said, his voice coming through the phone. It wasn't warm. It wasn't caring. It was full of impatience. "About what, sweetheart?" Linda's voice was weak. "About Dad, about the house, about the future." "Ethan, I'm really tired. Can we?" "No, we can't keep putting this off. Sophia and I have been talking. We're worried." "Worried about what?" "About Dad taking care of things when you're gone." "Mom, please be realistic." He's 67. He's had 2 knee surgeries. He can barely check his email. How's he supposed to manage the house, the estate, the finances? Your father is more than capable. Is he, though? Ethan's voice turned sharper. "I love Dad, but he's from another time. He doesn't get property values. He doesn't understand investments. He'll just stay in that house until he passes. And then what?" Linda whispered. "The market could crash. We could lose everything." "Ethan, this isn't the time." "When is Mom?" "When you're gone. When it's too late." His voice rose, full of anger. "I'm trying to protect this family. I'm trying to protect Dad. But I need you to help me. I need you to sign something." There was the sound of papers shifting. "What is this?" Linda asked, her voice faint. "It's a transfer of beneficial interest. It puts the house in a trust. Sophia and I would manage it for Dad. We'd make sure it's taken care of. This says the house goes to you and Sophia, not to your father." "Well, yes, eventually, but Dad will have life interest. He'll be able to stay there as long as he's alive. We're just trying to protect everyone's interests." "Ethan, no. That house is your father's home." "Mom, don't be difficult. You're not thinking straight. You're sick. This is what's best. Trust me, I know what I'm doing." I said no. There was a long pause. When Ethan spoke again, his tone had changed. It was colder now. Fine, then we'll do this the hard way. When you die, there's no will. The house goes into probate. Sophia and I will fight Dad for our share. It'll drag on for years. It'll cost tens of thousands in legal fees. Is that what you want? Do you really want Dad to spend his last years battling us in court, using up Linda's money on lawyers? You wouldn't. Try me. Mom, you've got two choices. Sign this now. We'll handle everything quietly. Dad will never know. He gets to live in the house. And when he's gone, Sophia and I get our fair share. Or you refuse and we'll make his life hell. We'll drag the estate into court for years. We'll contest everything. We'll say he manipulated you. We'll claim diminished capacity. We'll make him look like a fool. Linda was crying. I could hear in the video. How did you become this? She whispered. I became smart, Mom. I became realistic. Now sign the papers. Get out. What? Get out of my room. Get out of my house. Mom, you're being... Get out. She was screaming now, weak but loud. Get out or I'll call the police. I'll tell them you're trying to extort me. There was silence, followed by footsteps. The door slammed. The video played on for another minute. Linda just sat there, tears streaming down her face. Then she looked straight at the camera. Jack, she said, her eyes locking with mine. I'm so sorry you had to see this. But now you know. Now you understand. They're gone, my love. The children we raised are gone. These people are strangers. Don't give them anything. Don't give them mercy. They wouldn't show you. I love you. Be strong. The video ended. I sat there in the bank vault. I don't know for how long. Rebecca knocked gently. Mr. Morrison, are you all right? I wasn't, but I would be. I drove home without shedding a tear. I was beyond crying. I called Linda's lawyer. Her name was Elizabeth Brown. After I showed her everything, she agreed to see me that afternoon. Your wife was a very smart woman, Elizabeth said. The house is yours completely. They have no claim. The transfer was done correctly. She was of sound mind. We have the doctor's assessment and the notary's signature. It's bulletproof. They're going to fight it, I said. Let them. They'll lose. And Mr. Morrison, there's something else. Elizabeth paused. Your wife set up a trust for your grandchildren. Ethan's 2 kids, Sophia's daughter. She put $200,000 in it for their education. But there's a condition. What condition? Ethan and Sophia can't touch it. It goes directly to the kids when they turn 18. Your wife made sure of that. She told me she wanted to save something for the next generation. Something pure. $200,000. Money Linda had inherited from her parents. Money she'd saved up over the years. She put it somewhere safe. Somewhere Ethan and Sophia couldn't get their hands on. 3 days later, Ethan's lawyer sent a letter. They were contesting the title transfer, claiming Linda had been coerced, had diminished capacity, or was under undue influence. Elizabeth filed a response and included the video. Ethan's lawyer withdrew the case in 48 hours. But they didn't stop. Sophia called me, sobbing, fake tears, I could tell. Dad, please. I don't have anywhere to live. My landlord raised my rent. I need help. You have a career, I said. You have sponsors. Those dried up. The algorithm changed. Dad, please. I'm your daughter. My daughter wouldn't have tried to steal my home. I hung up. Ethan showed up at the house, drunk, around 11 p.m., banging on the door. You can't do this. That house is mine. Mine! I dialed the police. They took him away with just a warning. I changed the locks, put up a security camera. Then, I did what Linda had asked of me. I moved on. I sold the house, not to enrich Ethan and Sophia, but because Linda was right, it was too large. Too many stairs. Too many painful memories. I sold it for $2.4 million. Bought a modest condo in Kitsilano. 2 bedrooms. A balcony with an ocean view. Everything on 1 floor. The remaining money I invested in the grandchildren's trust. Linda's trust. I added another $500,000. The lawyer made sure Ethan and Sophia had no access to it, no way to borrow against it, no way to manipulate the kids into signing it over. Those kids? They're 9, 7, and 5 now. They don't know what their parents attempted. Someday they will, but for now, they have a future. They have education funds. They have something their parents can't ruin. I see them every now and then. Ethan drops them off for visits now, not out of remorse, but because his wife forced him to. She watched the video. She was disgusted. She told him she'd leave him if he didn't make things right. The visits are awkward, tense, but the kids? They don't feel that. They just know Grandpa has cookies and takes them to the aquarium. Ethan and Sophia? They're not the same anymore. More subdued. Sophia's got a real job now, working at a fitness studio, teaching yoga. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. Ethan had to sell his condo in Toronto. Downsize. His developments aren't going as smoothly as he claimed. I don't find satisfaction in that. I don't feel victorious. I just feel worn out and sad. Sad that things turned out like this. Sad that my children became strangers. But there's something else I feel too. Something Linda left me with in her final act of love. I feel free. I go to the cemetery every Sunday. I bring flowers. White roses. Her favorite. I sit on the bench by her grave and talk to her. I tell her about the grandkids, about the condo, about the ocean view. You were right, I say to her. About everything. You were always right. The wind blows in from the water. Cold, fresh. I can almost hear her voice. Almost feel her hand in mine. You're free now, Jack, she would say. Live. So I do. I wake up in my small, bright condo. I make my coffee. I watch the sunrise over the water. I call my old fire station buddies. We meet for breakfast. We share old stories. I'm not really a father anymore. That relationship ended when my children chose money over love. But I'm still a grandfather. I'm still Linda's husband. Even in death, I'm still Jack Morrison. And for the first time in years, that's enough. The story shows us that love and trust don't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It reminds us that sometimes the people we care about the most can become strangers, unrecognizable to us. It teaches that true strength isn't about being the loudest or the most dominant. True strength lies in the courage to say no, to set boundaries, to protect yourself from those who would turn your love against you. Linda's last gift wasn't just about preserving the house. It was about saving me. It gave me the freedom to live without guilt, without feeling obligated to people who had long stopped being family. It's a reminder that it's never too late to start over. That peace isn't found in wealth, status, or perfect children. Peace comes from knowing you did the right thing, from honoring the people who truly loved you, from refusing to let yourself be a victim. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have fought? Would you have given in? Would you have had the strength to walk away? Share your thoughts in the comments below.